Okay, in the Western countries today, people are interested in Hatha yoga. Well, Hatha yoga is good physical exercise, but we're not going to be talking about Hatha yoga here because the goal of yoga is not merely physical exercise. The goal of yoga is union with this supreme intelligence which is at the foundation of all being. The word yoga means union with our supreme being. So, as we say, the Hatha yoga is physical exercise, good stretching, and we generally will use little Hatha yoga to get us ready for meditation. Today we're going to talk about basically the four basic yogas: the Jnana yoga, the Bhakti yoga, the Karma yoga, and the Raj yoga. The Bhakti yoga is when we are devoted to our supreme truth. Now, to get to it, we do what is called Jnana yoga. Jnana yoga is when we search for this highest truth, the truth that liberates, the truth that causes us to know ourselves better. We might have to, or not might, but we would search into any religious, any spirituality that we have, any philosophies that we know about, any great souls, any great scholars, any great holy people that we've known, to search these people for what they had to say about the truth. Okay, when we do this search, accumulate knowledge about this truth, and we say that truth is everlasting. Our search is unlimited, really. We're always in a position to learn more about this highest truth about the self. Who am I? What is this God? We've been hearing it so long, must be something to it. So we search through the religions and philosophies of the world to find out more about this. When we find that this is our supreme being, our supreme nature, our highest truth, then we find that we're devoted to it. We become more devoted to it. And as we become devoted to it, we leave what we call Jnana yoga. Actually, we don't leave it because we're still learning. We're still gathering knowledge. So this is a Jnana yoga, but as we become more devoted to this truth, we come into what we call Bhakti yoga. We become devoted to this truth. We become devoted to this truth. This is the Bhakti yoga. And in Bhakti and Karma yoga kind of overlap, because as we find that this truth is our real self, we continue to dig and continue to search for it. And we're digging inside of ourselves. We're not doing any external digging as such. We're digging inside ourselves, trying to attain this liberation. This liberation from lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. These are really the obstacles that one might even call them the enemies of self-realization. Lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. The more we see that this devotion to our supreme truth is really liberating us, we want to do it even more. So we say that all that we do now, all that we offer, all that we give away, all austerities that we perform, we do it as surrender, offering, service, submission to our supreme being. This helps us to think about our supreme being all the time. The more we think about our supreme being, who is, we say, indivisible, undifferentiated, supreme, absolute, the more we associate with this supreme being of ours, of course, we become more like it. Association brings assimilation. So we associate with our supreme being. And in so associated with our supreme being, we become more and more purified of that anger, lust first, lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. Because lust is such, when we get it, we become more greedy. We don't get it, we become angry. And this leads to more and more illusion, madness, and envy. Envy is a bitter distaste for another's better fortune. So we don't need those enemies. They destroy us. If we harbor this kind of bitterness, this kind of anxiety, heck, we become more and more polluted. So we say, as we do our Jnana yoga, our Bhakti yoga, our Karma yoga, then when we become more and more quiet inside, the goal is to become very quiet inside, free from thoughts. The consciousness become quiet again. And this supreme intelligence that we are striving to reunite with, actually in reality, we can't really separate from it. So that disunion, if you will, quote unquote disunion, is an illusion because it really never can be separated. But to reawaken to our relationship with our Supreme Being, our union with our Supreme Being, this is the goal of yoga. So as we surpass, graduate, if you will, from the Jnana yoga to the Bhakti yoga to the Karma yoga, we can now enter what we call Raj yoga. Raj yoga is concerned itself primarily with meditation. Now, to begin this meditation, we say take a name of our Supreme Being. We know that our Supreme Being is not limited to a few names. Our Supreme Being is within and beyond all names. But since, as we said previously, since our Supreme Being is indivisible, undifferentiated, supreme, absolute, calling out the name of our Supreme Being and our Supreme Being are one. So we want to associate with our Supreme Being. This is what is available to us, and it's the beginning, the simplest way to enter our meditation. So to think about our Supreme Being all the time, it pulls our consciousness away from external things and focuses on Supreme Being. The more we focus on our Supreme Being, the more we keep away those negative thoughts, all those polluting thoughts. Gradually our consciousness is cleansed and quieted. The more the consciousness is cleansed and quieted, the more we experience the ecstasy, the bliss, the beauty of our Supreme Being. It is here, it is now. It is our own sacred reality. Questions, please.
How would you simply explain what you just mentioned? Say if a child asks you, why do you meditate? What is yoga? How would you simply explain it to
We
them?
meditate to reawaken to the reality of our being. Our being is unlimited knowledge, unlimited bliss, eternally. And so we meditate to get out of this illusion of the material world. Because we look at the material world, everything is coming into being, staying forth a while, giving off giving off, what should we call it, products or projects, children, etc., beings, seeds, and it gradually gets old and it returns to the elements, the earth, water, fire, air, and ether. But we want reality. We don't want to die. We don't want to be ignorant. Why? Because that's not our nature. Our nature is unlimited bliss, unlimited knowledge, beyond birth and death. And this is what we want. So what's your other question? What is the yoga? You said...
If you were to explain it, let's say if a young child asks you, what is yoga? How would you simply
yoga
explain
means
it?
Union with your Supreme Being. The goal of yoga is union with your God, no one else. And it must be practiced. Like any other art, any other skill, any other science, it must be practiced. And we have to persevere in it. Because it doesn't just, for most of us, it doesn't come overnight. Most of us have to be constantly devoted and worshiping with love. Even if we can only say the word love as one of the words of our mantra.
Is it quieting the thoughts?
It's not only quieting the thoughts, and in this process here, and we're coming from mainly the teachings of yoga as expounded with many great teachers, Shankaracharya, Paramahamsa Yogananda. But although Paramahamsa Yogananda talks a lot about Kriya Yoga, we're not into the Kriya Yoga because we're not trying to artificially or manually or mechanically raise the kundalini up. The more we are purified and quiet inside, the more that the satananda, the bliss of kundalini comes upon it. It's a natural state too. Kundalini is natural, but we're not trying to raise it mechanically. Our business is to always think about our Supreme Being, and always thinking about our Supreme Being and engaging in this spiritual practice, this Jnana Yoga, this Bhakti Yoga, this Karma Yoga, this Raj Yoga. Gradually, it's not that we quiet the thoughts, we stop the thoughts from coming into our consciousness. You see, the consciousness is originally pure. The awareness is originally still, quiet. Our intelligence is originally pure, but our intelligence pervades and transcends the consciousness and awareness, see? So our spiritual practice, this spiritual practice, by always thinking about our Supreme, it quiets, keeps the consciousness clear of thoughts. It's a gradual process, but it actually works. We keep the thoughts out of the consciousness, cleanse the consciousness up by always thinking about our Supreme Being. So the essence of this teaching is always think about our Supreme Being. And our Supreme Being, constant remembrance of our Supreme Being, is what is purifying our consciousness, our awareness, our very intelligence. Our Supreme Being is the nature of bliss. In fact, it's beyond bliss. Our Supreme Being is beyond silence, because, you know, if we're watching silence, if we're watching the silence, and we say, someone might say, well, be silent. Well, who knows to watch silence? So our Supreme Being pervades and transcends everything. In fact, it's beyond pervading and transcending.
If you don't have a Supreme Being that you pray to anything, can you still do yoga?
Well, yeah, of course. Yoga is about union with our own original nature. Mm-hmm. So we say that what we are calling Supreme Being or God is this infinite, pure intelligence at the very foundation of our being. So even if we're an atheist, we don't want to believe in a creator, God as such, a creator Supreme Being. We're saying that this pure intelligence is what informs thought, you see. By constantly purifying our intelligence, coming back to pure intelligence, our thoughts are more purified. And with purified intelligence, we can create, maintain, or destroy. So we say that this Supreme Being that most people talk about is the creator, the maintainer, and the annihilator of everything. But we're saying that our Supreme Being is the source of the intelligence of creation, maintenance, and dissolution.
How often should you practice yoga?
We should practice frequently. In fact, we can chant our mantras anytime, anywhere, either loudly or quietly or silently. But if we're chanting our mantras, we're engaged in meditation. Although at a certain point, we want to get to the point where we're just experiencing the silence itself. But to engage, always be engaged in thinking about our Supreme Being. And remembering our mantra is one way that we can do this. Chanting the mantra in the grocery store, at the filling station, while driving your car, while doing exercise, we can always chant our mantra. And gradually we can arrive to the point where we can think about our Supreme Being exclusively. We can meditate on silence itself. The goal is to become still and quiet on the inside again. The more we're quiet on the inside again, the more we can experience the joy, the fulfillment of the real self. So this is the idea, is to come back to ourself, because we've been miseducated about the nature of the self. The more we think that the self is a material body, the more we're ill-informed and ignorant, and we have to suffer, because we suffer because of our own doing. So if we don't know that all bodies are our bodies, this Supreme Self pervades and transcends all bodies. It's within and beyond everything. So we say treat others as we want to be treated. But as we treat another, eventually that comes back around to us. Now, we are not doing this just because we don't want those bad thoughts to come back around to us, those bad things that we do. We say there's thinking, feeling, willing, and doing. So if our thoughts are impure, if our consciousness is impure, our thoughts are going to be impure. If our thoughts are impure, our feelings are impure. If our feelings are impure, our willings are impure. Our willings are impure. Our doing is impure. So we suffer as a result of our own impure deeds. So it behooves us to clean up our consciousness, and we do this purification process by always thinking about our Supreme Being. This is a center point of our spiritual practice. So we say our spiritual practice is centered, our constant praise and thanksgiving. Rather than complain or find fault or to feel sorry for ourselves, we say constant praise and thanksgiving from the time we awaken. Constant praise and thanksgiving. Prayer. And when we pray, we're not asking us, having some kind of business relationship with our Supreme Being. If we ask for anything, we ask for more service. And our service, surrender, submission, offering, they are synonymous. So our constant praise and thanksgiving, our prayer, our study, our sacrifice, our service, our right association. And right association is associated with people, places, and things, events, circumstances that can help us think about our Supreme Being. And all of this is centered. Our Supreme Being is the center of our praise and thanksgiving, our prayer, our sacrifice, our service, our right association, our meditation. All this leads to purification. The goal is purification of our consciousness to come back to realization of who we really, really are beyond that material body. As long as we're relating to material designation, relating to a particular race, creed, caste, class, color, nationality, etc., we'll never progress, not up this path. Not up this path. We have to come to the spiritual platform. Spiritual platform meaning we're seeing the self as a spiritual being. In fact, we're not the body with the soul, we're the soul with the body. We're not a body trying to get a spiritual experience. We're actually a spiritual being. Spirit, soul, confused, frustrated, annihilated, disgusted, with trying to make a reality as a material body. We're not the material body. The real self is within and beyond the material body. It's more subtle than the consciousness. It's more subtle than the awareness. It's more subtle than air, ether, ego, all of that. Our Supreme Being. And the goal of yoga is to return to our Supreme Being. And this yoga that we're advocating here is Jnana Yoga, accumulating knowledge about the self, Bhakti Yoga, being devoted to our Supreme Being, Karma Yoga, offering everything, every breath we take, every move we make as an offering to our Supreme Being, and meditating on our Supreme Being, beginning with our mantra and gradually being able to meditate on silence itself. And this is gradually, and it really works. You can see, we can gauge the result of our effort. Gradually we're coming back to our original nature, which is beyond Satchitananda. Actually, we call it Sadananda. Some folks call it the eternality of bliss. And this is our original nature. And this is the nature that we're coming back to by our spiritual practice, which is Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Raj Yoga. This path, this alternative, this way out of the illusion of the material world. Thank you very much.